Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Panda here again. Guess what? I'm back straight away, but for you, it's about a day. That was a day in my time, which is about 5 seconds, is a day in your time. I mean, that's crazy business. That is crazy business. But we're gonna continue with this exciting part. We're getting close. Right. Why did we come to your dormitory room? She looked straight at the door without so much as a glance in my direction. Hanako? She moves to answer but stops herself. Instead, she silently breaks from my side, opening her door and steps inside. I look up and down the hallway, a bit lost as to exactly what I should do. Shrugging, I decide to follow her since I don't have any reason to do otherwise. I believe I need to take a drink. This delicious tropical punch. Amazing. Really sets the mood. If you ever want to set the mood, tropical punch is the way to go. Not really, I'm just kidding. Tropical punch is not the way to go if you want to set the mood. Just FYI, just if you were going to try that. Hanako stands in the middle of her room and looks straight at me. It's unnerving when she does this, and it's such an unusual action for her. I open my mouth to speak, but she preempts me. Could you close and lock the door? Hanako's hand reaches for her chest, grabbing her blouse at her heart. I turn and lock the door shut, then freeze. The atmosphere is beginning to feel quite strange. This feeling is only made more profound when I hear the curtains being pulled behind me. It's going to be night soon. We're a guy and a girl in a bedroom. She's closing the curtains and I'm shutting and locking the door. She can't really have that in mind, can she? I gulp and turn around very, very slowly. Hanako is in the center of the room, but hasn't turned back to face me. You told me about your past, so I have to tell you mine. She takes a deep, shuddering breath and pauses for a number of seconds. Her hands move to ribbon and begin to tug, all but confirming my thoughts. Hanako. Before I do this, I believe, from memory, the writing is fairly explicit, so I may start, laughing in parts. I don't know. We'll soon see, but it's it's pretty up there on the explicit for writing, I think, from memory. It was quite a while ago when I did this part, but it's all going to be blacked out for you anyway. If you want to watch, if you actually want to play this game, I'll put a link in the description to the game, but please don't say anything. I obediently stay hushed as she slips off her ribbon and continues to unbutton her blouse before working the clip of her bra. The process is slow. Perhaps it just feels slow because of what she's doing. I'm not sure. Frozen to the spot, all I can do is watch as Hanako, hands trembling, unclips her skirt and lets it drop to the ground. Finally, she takes her blouse in her hands and draws it off, her bra falling from her shoulders, and so Hanako stands in the middle of the room, all but bared save for her stockings and underwear. This is me. All of me. My eyes are immediately drawn to the scarring on her back. The skin on her right side is of a similar texture to that of her face, but it's also stretched taut and covering a much larger area. The scarring is by far the worst on the shoulder, buttock and thigh. Just as my heart attack redefined my life, this is the event that redefined Hanako's. If I'd seen this when I first met her, I'd have been shocked, not only at the sight, but also at the idea that something like this was survivable. But after having a hard time to get used to the idea, and after seeing the scars on her face, hands and collar, my reaction is more measured. My reaction right now is not due to her scarring, but to her body. The fire happened when I was 8 years old. It was night, and we were sleeping when it started. Hanako's voice trembles, the shaking of her blouse giving away the fact that her hands are doing just the same. I curled up into a ball, When the fire swept over me, my mother tried to shield me. That's the only reason I lived. Hanako's eyes begin to moisten, her voice cracking under the combined pressure of exposing herself to me like this and reliving those painful memories from so long ago. I want to say something, anything, to make her feel better. I can't though. I feel completely useless when faced with a situation like this. She's forcing herself to come so close, yet it's like at times like this that I feel the most distant to her. I'm sorry for making you see this. There's no point in denying the obvious. I think what I should say now and what Hanako wants me to say now is the truth, what I genuinely, honestly believe. It doesn't matter. You're a wonderful person, Hanako. Your body doesn't change that. She looks at me for a long time, her breathing uneven as she tries to remain steady amidst the emotions we're both feeling. It feels less like she's looking at me than she's looking through me. I slowly walk towards her and gently place my hands on her shoulders as she lets go of her blouse. She gasps a little, not in fright, but in simple startlement. Being so close to her causes my mind to become a jumble of feelings. The scarring on her shoulder, plain to see and leather-like to the touch, conflicts strangely with her otherwise soft skin and silky dark hair. Hanako is a girl, with all that entails. She's taller than usual for a woman, but still has curves in all the right places. The nape of her neck, just visible thanks to her hair slung over her shoulder, is alluring. I know that I'm not pretty, like Lily. I just wanted you to see me, the real me. I've already seen the real you, though. You didn't need to take off your clothes for that. Her lips are open, just a little. She lets out a sharp breath as, without thinking, I breathlessly lean forwards and press my lips to hers. The kiss only lasts for a fleeting moment before our faces part, our breathing quick and nervous. The feeling of Hanako's mouth lingers, and her eyes remain locked to mine. Trembling a little myself, I remove my tie and begin undoing the buttons of my shirt. Hanako remains standing where she is, looking at the ground in front of her rather than watching me undress. On the one hand, I'm thankful for that I've always been somewhat self-conscious of my body, but my scarring has made me that quite a lot worse. On the other hand though, this atmosphere feels very strange. My shirt falls to the floor in a heap, as untidy and crumpled as Hanako's blouse and skirt. Hanako's entire body visibly flinches at the sound of the zipper on my trousers being pulled down. My trousers join my shirt on Hanako's floor next to the bed, as do my socks in short measure. I hesitate before taking off my boxers and end up leaving them on. They represent one last hurdle I don't think I can overcome quite yet. Sheer embarrassment stops me, along with not wanting Hanako getting even more worked up. My unease about the situation has also left me needing my own stimulation. Hanako. She gives a nod without so much as glancing at me and makes her way to the bed as I do. She walks as if her legs were wooden sticks, and I find it amusing if I weren't doing exactly the same thing. I take the initiative, turning around and sitting on the side of the bed. I look to her face to invite her to take a seat now either next to me or in front of me, but end up awkwardly looking down to stop myself from staring at her body. Nevertheless, she takes her cue and reluctantly sits between my legs as she does. A rush of sensations hit me all at once. The feeling of her behind against my crotch is the most obvious, but her scent is just as strong. She's worked up a slight sweat already from her nervousness. Oh, sorry, this is getting just too much. And the smell and feeling of her hair is washed across my face. I know you guys want me to be serious, but it's quite a different story when you're on the other end telling the story. Snap out of it, Andrew. Come on. I try to put on a smile and try to make the situation a bit more comfortable for her, but it feels really stilted. Deciding to try and move things along, one hand finds itself on her breast as the other rests on her leg. Her lips purse tightly together as she tries unsuccessfully to suppress a squeal of surprise at the action. Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. Hanako takes a breath and shakes her head as her only reply. A gulp comes deep in my throat before beginning to move my hand around, feeling and massaging her ladylike features above. feel it feels really nice giving way underneath my palm with just a little firmness. Oh, I have to have a drink, sorry. Okay, let's continue. For a while I don't think it's helping her get into the mood at all, but slowly her eyelids begin to lower. Her breathing slows to a more rhythmic pattern and her body begins to relax into mine. I'm gonna try and be serious. I do apologise if you want me to be serious, but this is quite funny. It's newly satisfying to be able to make Hanako feel like this. Definitely better than the feeling of her body alone. I can sense a little hard bump brushing against my fingers that wasn't there before too. Oh god. Okay. I slowly move my hand downwards, trying not to surprise her too much. She gives no protest and my fingers soon begin to move up and down the soft groove between her legs. Her body is pressed against mine by now, and a thin sheen of sweat on both of us. She feels warm, and all this has more than served to arouse me, as well as her. Hanako gives a small gasp, my fingers pressing a little harder and moving a little faster, almost instinctively. The girl in front of me, the girl pressing against me, I want her, all of her. I stop moving my fingers, making Hanako give a long breath of relief from the feelings welling up inside of her. Her face looks to mine a little, silent but expectant. All I do is nod. I don't know which one of us is more apprehensive right now. I push myself back onto the bed, extricating myself from Hanako with a certain amount of reluctance. For her part, she slides back and lies down with her head on her pillow, breathing heavily all the while. Hanako lying in front of me, her panties darkened, her chest heaving, her face flushed and her eyes looking into mine. Her scars just make her look all the more unique. I'm left without words that she'd allow me to see her like this, trying to speed this process along. I bring myself closer to her, closing her hands on her waist. I wait for her to nod before taking a delicate hold of her stockings, taking them up a bit as gently as I can manage. I don't think I can get them off without tearing them, so I end up leaving them on, her legs and moving her panties aside. Hanako lies practically naked on the bed. Her most delicate parts and the scarring of her body are now plain to see. Bringing my fingers to her down below, I stroke her a little more, causing her breath to catch. She should be okay if she's this aroused, so I open my boxes and move myself up a little on the bed. Hanako's entire body tenses as I bring myself closer to her, her eyes widening. She's scared? I take a long breath before realizing something I should have thought of before. I close my eyes and concentrate deeply. My heart thumps away as I focus my mind on its beating. It's faster than usual, of course, but the beat is regular. I think I can keep it in check if I take this slowly. Are you okay? I open my eyes and look at her. I guess that must have looked pretty worrying to someone else watching me. I'm okay, I'm just making sure that I was. She hesitates a little before nodding. She looks a little less afraid than before, so maybe showing her that I wasn't also worried helped reassure her. I lean over her and press my lips to hers, our tongues tentatively touching. I can feel her body becoming less tense under mine, so it's getting both of us back into the right mood. Then I remember something and pulled back. I lean over the side of the bed to where my trousers are, my hand reaching for the back pocket. I feel around blind for a few seconds until a little foil square brushes just underneath my fingertip. Ah, yes. Good man. I quickly pull it out and right myself on the bed, sitting back from Hanako a little and fiddling with the packet. It takes a little while for everything to go on correctly, but eventually the rubber sleeve covers what it should, fitting snugly. Good man. Gotta cover that thing. My slight confusion at my first time trying to work a condom seems to have amused her a little, and as I position myself over her, we share a small nervous laugh. Now though, I need to try and concentrate. I'm getting my words all mixed up. This is very awkward for me. You try and do this. I look down and try to get my knees and waist in what I think are the right places and take my member in my slightly shaking hand. Hanako's face is looking at mine, but her eyes are pointed down at where our crotches meet. With a short breath, I position the member and push my hips forward. In one stroke, I push myself fully inside of her. The rush of sensations and emotions fills my head, and Hanako yelps in pain. Oh, that's... Looking at her face makes me feel uneasy. I mistakenly pushed too hard and too fast, and caused her more pain than necessary. Neither of us really knows what we're doing, and the last thing I wanted was to hurt her. Hanako opens her eyes again and looks towards me. She must have seen how troubled I look, as she tries her best to put on a happy face. It's not very convincing at all. I look down and begin, slowly to move my hips again after giving her a few moments to recover. The movement feels really unnatural, and I can feel muscles moving all over my lower body that I haven't felt moving in this way before. I know I'm putting stress on my heart that I probably shouldn't as well, and with every movement I keep track of my heart's beat. The feeling inside of Hanako is soft, and if not for the condom deadening a little of the sensation, I doubt I'd be able to last very long at all. Her soft gasp and constant movements don't help at all either. For Hanako's part, the look of pain doesn't really seem to be dissipating as I'd hoped. Her scar tissue causes one side of her body to move a little differently from the other, and strands of her hair are by now sticking to her face. I put my arms around her body and lift it up a little. After some squirming for the both of us, we try positioning ourselves a bit differently to minimise her pain. With my hands holding her legs, both of us are moving in less and less measured movements by now. The smaller Hanako fills my senses, and from this position, I'm not stressing my body quite as much. My senses of time seems distorted, and I feel like I'm starting to get faint from hyperventilating. I want Hanako to feel good though, and I can't stop now that we've reached this point. A new wave of pleasure suddenly begins to wash over me, my feelings beginning to well up, and I don't think I can control them anymore. I speed up, concentrating less and less on pacing myself. Every time it feels like we've found a rhythm, we lose it in our movements. From the sound she's making, I don't think this position's helped Hanako feel much better, and I don't think I'm going to be able to hold her much longer either. I turn and lay her back down on the bed, both of us well beyond the point of doing anything but reaching the end. One thrust after another, I begin to feel that point coming. Frantically tensing myself and try to stave it off for as long as I can. Hanako! Hanako gives a small shriek as my mind blanks. My waist hits hers with a fair amount of force as I hit the point of climax. I can feel myself twitching inside of her. My body twists and turns under mine, only heightening the feelings of euphoria. And then, after a couple of seconds, it ends. The sound of Hanako's breathing on my own rings in my ears, and painfully loudly Hanako holds an arm over her face, her mouth open and gulping in air. As I hold myself over her, suddenly my arms almost give way and my vision distorts as if someone grabbed it and pulled sideways. I let myself fall sideways onto the bed beside the panting Hanako for fear of falling onto her instead. Oh, thank God it's over. That was so goddamn awkward for me. Oh, I really hope you guys appreciate that, because Jesus, that was awkward for me. Oh God. We both lie beside each other, naked and pressed against one another in order to fit on a bed made for a single person. My eyes try to focus on the ceiling, to not much success. Pulling a blanket over us to stave off the cold is all I can do. Excuse me. The only sound in the room is that of our breathing. The sweat that had accumulated on our bodies feels uncomfortable. We're both physically and emotionally exhausted, and a complete mess all over. My vision slowly begins to return to normal as I continue to stare at the ceiling, but my limbs still feel like jelly. I try to concentrate on my chest. I find its beat irregular and mildly painful. Oh God, it's not good. Oh, God damn it. This is a dangerous time. I have to think this through and not panic, lest I make my situation any worse. With a huge effort, I take control of my erratic breathing, forcing myself to make long, deep breaths. I count half a dozen before I start to feel physically calm again, and press my hand to my chest to assure myself. My heart beats back to normal. I'm okay. I turn my face towards Hanako, who is already looking at me. Her expression looks pretty dazed, but underneath that there's definitely a look of concern. She's realised what happened. I'm okay, everything's back to normal. I find myself barely able to get the words out between breaths. I don't think sex would tire a normal body out this much, so I have no doubt my condition at least partially at fault. Why did my body have to do this right now? Because your body hates you, Sal. All thoughts of my heart, though, are pushed aside as I see the wide smile forming on Hanako's face. As always, I smile back without another thought. Hanako's smile has always been infectious, and its almost childlike sweetness and earnesty, something that sets her apart from anyone else I know. Right now, we don't need words. Everything we want to communicate to each other we can share just fine without them. Thank God that is over. Oh man. Now, what are we up to? And with that, I'm gonna end it right there. I hope you enjoyed what's going to be a black screen, because right now I'm recording, but after this I will be black screening almost the entire video of that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this black screen, basically just me talking. We've played for 11 hours, good God. Did I save that? Please tell me I saved that. Okay, I saved that. Anyway guys, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and I shall see you in the next part, which will be a much happier time with hopefully no awkward situations like that. Whew. Alright guys, see you.